Griff Fe tested me for 3 years using bankruptcy. After learning the truth, I wanted a divorce, but Griff Fu wouldn't allow it, and in the end, I died from depression. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the moment when Griff Fu told me his family had gone bankrupt. Once more, I heard the word bankruptcy. I patted Griff Fu's shoulder with a smile and said thoughtfully, "Don't worry, I have hands and feet. If life gets too hard, I'll run away on my own." Run. Where is Ivy running off to? Is she running into my heart? Griff Fu spoke with deep affection, and he looked the part too, which is why in my past life he deceived me year after year. I forced a perfunctory smile and said, "I was just joking with Griff." Griff Fu clumsily picked up a piece of meat from his bowl and placed it in mine, gazing at me with deep affection. "Ivy, even though my family has gone bankrupt, you won't leave me, right?" I nodded with a smile, but my eyes turned cold, too. In his previous life, not long after Griff Fu told me he was bankrupt, he found a demanding job that required frequent business trips. Every time he returned, he was utterly exhausted, reeking of alcohol, and suffering from vomiting and diarrhea, which made me cry quietly to myself several times. Turns out the exhaustion came from partying night after night at nightclubs. The vomiting and diarrhea were from drinking with beautiful women and buddies, to prevent any accidents from happening. Griff Fu always traveled to places that were very far away, so far that I didn't even dare to imagine the cost. After finishing the noodles, Griff Fu left, saying he needed to go back and prepare. Watching Griff Fu's receding figure, I laughed for a long time, laughing at Griff Fu, and also at myself. I didn't even glance at the meat Griff Fu had picked up for me in the bowl. That's just how Griff Fu is, always making me feel overwhelmingly grateful with small favors. So much so that I'd willingly endure hardships with him. In the end, I moved heaven and earth and even moved myself, only to find out it was all just a so-called test by Griff Fu to see if I truly loved him. This time, I won't play along with your act. 3. Leaving the noodle shop. I stretched lazily under the warm sunlight. This time, there's still time to make things right. On my way home, I called my best friend Jumi. The endless dial tone made me nervous. At this time in my previous life, Jumi and I had already lost contact because of Griff Fu. I didn't know if she would answer this call. After a long minute, the call was picked up. The voice on the other end was dripping with sarcasm right from the start. "Oh ho, who do we have here? Isn't this the heartless sister who said she'd cut ties with me forever because I was stirring up trouble? Tilda." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Ju, my beauty, please stop teasing me. Alright, why are you calling me all of a sudden? Let me say this first, I won't help with anything major. After all, we're not that close, Tilda." Hearing the familiar voice, I couldn't help but choke up. Jumi's voice turned serious. "What did that bastard Griff Fu do to you?" I didn't want to drag Jumi into this. The Fu family. None of us can afford to offend them. Griff Fu didn't do anything to me. He told me his family went bankrupt. What a load of bullshit. Jumi exploded in rage. "I just saw him in the group chat making plans with that idiot Jiang to go racing at Fragrant Hills. For Jiang the idiot, named Jiang Wen, is Griff Fu's childhood friend who grew up with him." Jumi asked me, "Where are you now? I'll come pick you up." I sent my location, and before long, a pink car pulled up in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing Jumi's face behind sunglasses. "Jumi, a cool girl with twin tails and pink hair, get in the car." Jumi took me to a nearby cafe. I remembered the last time I saw Jumi, her hair was still blue. "When did you change it to pink?" "I thought last time it wasn't." Jumi rolled her eyes at me. "Girl, do you even remember how long ago our last meeting was?" "Alright, the last time we met was 6 months ago. At that time, Jumi kept telling me that Griff Fu was not a good person, but I thought she was just jealous of me. After a big argument, we completely lost contact. When Jumi found out that I thought she had a crush on Griff Fu, she immediately said she wanted to crack open my head to see if there was water in it. Griff Fu, I like him, I really can't stand him. No, I can't stand the entire Fu family, especially his father." 5. Ordered 2 cups of coffee at the cafe. Jumi told me, "You absolutely must not be fooled by that idiot Griff Fu. He's just like his father. They both like to play these true love tests. Do you know how Griff Fu's mother died?" I nodded. I had heard Griff Fu say that his mother jumped to her death when he was 12 years old. Jumi wagged her finger. Griff Fu didn't finish the story. His mother was forced into it. Jumi scrolled through her phone. I thought she was going to show me evidence, but it turned out to be her chat history with Griff Fu. Griff Fu's parents had been married for over 20 years, but his father never truly trusted his mother. He had been guarding against Griff Fu's mother for most of their lives. The day she learned the truth, Griff Fu's mother couldn't accept it and jumped off a building. I could only sigh. What kind of people are these? But Griff Fu truly is his father's son. 6. Jumi was applying powder nearby, occasionally glancing at me. I've said so much. Shouldn't you break up with Griff Fu now? I shook my head. Jumi immediately glared at me, flailing her arms dramatically. If you don't break up with Griff Fu, then we can't be friends anymore. Jumi stood up as if to leave, but I pulled her back down, stirring the coffee in my hand. I said, I will definitely break up with him, but not now. Jumi blinked in confusion. Why, if I break up with him now, wouldn't that just prove I'm someone who despises the poor and loves the rich? Jumi frowned. Yeah, what should we do? I can't wait until Griff Fu's testing is over. I narrowed my eyes. Breaking up sooner or later makes no difference, so why not pick a special day to do it? Jumi blinked, then caught on. Great idea. Since he's afraid you'll reject him for being poor, just find someone rich and dump him hard. But, Jumi sounded worried, what if he retaliates against you? Griff Fu is the most petty person. Never mind, if there's anything I can do to help, you must come to me. I blew on my coffee. I can handle it myself. 7. 3 days later, Griff Fu called. Ivy. I'm moving today. Can you come help me pack my things? I glanced out the window. The weather wasn't too hot, so I agreed. Alright, taking a taxi to Griff Fu's villa. Griff Fu was slowly moving things out bit by bit, sweat dripping into his collar. In my previous life, it broke my heart to see him like that. So I ended up helping him pack up everything by myself, while Griff Fu sat idly by, enjoying the cool breeze. At first, I suggested hiring a moving company to handle it, but Griff Fu said he had no money. I offered to pay, but Griff Fu remained silent and kept working alone. I couldn't bear to see him like that, so I ended up taking on all the work myself, even though I'd never even washed a single dish at home before. This time, I didn't lift a finger, I just stood in the shadows and sighed. Griff, with so many things, how long will it take you to move them all by yourself? Actually, Griff Fu had hired a moving company. Before I arrived, they were the ones moving the things. But as soon as I got there, Griff Fu splashed water on himself and stood under the sun, pretending to move things, while the movers were hiding in the backyard, perhaps not expecting me to react this way. Griff Fu was stunned for a moment, then wiped the sweat from his brow and said, "It's fine. We'll get it done eventually." Half an hour passed, and Griff Fu was so exhausted that his hands and legs were trembling. I sat in the shade, enjoying the cool breeze. It couldn't have been more comfortable. I neither helped nor left, and before long, Griff Fu stopped moving. His face was pale as he gasped for breath, saying, "Ivy, could you pass me some water, please?" I deliberately feigned surprise and said, "Oh, but I didn't bring any water, sorry." Griff, if it were me from my past life, I would have already gone to fetch water by now, but this isn't my past life. I am no longer the Ivy I used to be. Finally, Griff Fu's good buddy Jiang couldn't stand it any longer. He emerged from some obscure corner, handed Griff Fu a bottle of water, and then helped him rest in the shade. I moved aside a bit and, noticing the sky growing dark, reminded him, "Griff, you need to hurry up, or you won't finish moving today." I pretended not to hear the sound of Jiang cracking his knuckles. Jiang sent a message on his phone, "Get a few people over here." 5 minutes later, a group of men gathered at the villa. Jiang directed them to move the items. Griff Fu really had a lot of stuff. In my past life, I must have been blind too. How could Griff Fu's rented basement possibly fit so many things? Can Griff's new place really hold all these things? Griff Fu paused while drinking water. He wiped his hands. Griff Fu was very pale, and his hands showed an unnatural redness after brief physical labor. Most of these are meant to be sold to pay off debts. There won't be much left after selling. I nodded. I see. After most things were moved, Griff Fu took my hand and asked, "Ivy, would you like to see where I live?" 8. Alright. I drove Griff Fu to the place, and he didn't notice anything along the way. I drove straight to his new home in one go, without needing any guidance from him. Griff Fu pushed open the iron gate, and with a creak, dust flew everywhere. Griff Fu coughed so hard he almost threw up. I waved my hand and said, "Is this where Griff is going to live from now on?" The disdain in Griff Fu's eyes was almost impossible to hide. But he still had to pretend to be in a difficult situation. "I don't have much money left, repaying debts, raising funds. There are just too many places to spend money." I patted Griff Fu on the shoulder and said, "And there's still my betrothal gift. Griff is under so much pressure." Griff Fu held my hand and said, "If I don't save enough money, will Ivy not marry me?" There were no lights in the basement. I glanced at my phone and, in the darkness where Griff Fu couldn't see, I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly fell out, but I said, "Of course not. Yeah, right. Who would marry you, dude?" Using a flashlight, we roughly walked through the house. It wasn't big, just one room with a shared bathroom. Griff Fu nodded, not in satisfaction with the cheap place, but with approval of the future training ground for me. This place wasn't for Griff Fu to live in, but for me. In the end, the one who would stay here was me. Day after day, year after year, through all 4 seasons, I lived in this shabby basement for a full 3 years. Starving enough to dig through trash bins, thirsty enough to drink rainwater dripping from the eaves. After 3 years of hardship, on the day Griff Fu returned in glory, he told me, "Congratulations, Ivy, you've passed my test, let's get married." I will never forget that day. It's etched in my memory forever. 9. Ivy, you can move. Yuck. I pushed Griff Fu away, ran out, and vomited, with acid rising in my throat. Griff Fu gently patted my back. And I deliberately said, "I wouldn't even take this kind of place if it were given to me. It's too disgusting." What did Griff say just now? Griff Fu then reluctantly closed his mouth and said, "Nothing." I wiped my mouth. That family has moved. And we've seen the house. I'm heading back first. Griff Fu wanted to keep me, his beautiful eyes full of hope. "Ivy." I ran away directly. "I'll come see you next time." In my previous life, when Griff Fu brought me to this rundown basement, he didn't say a word. Yet I went home, packed my things, had a huge fight with my parents, and moved in to share both good times and bad with him. This time around, if I step through this door, I'm a dog. 10. When I got home in the evening, my parents and my older brother were all sitting in the living room. Seeing me, my dad snorted. I scratched my head and called out guiltily, "Mom, Dad." My father stroked his beard and said sarcastically, "What are you back for? Why don't you go keep your little boyfriend company?" After getting together with Griff Fu, my relationship with my family became very strained. Last time, after leaving home following a fight, I returned only to have another big argument. And then I never went back again. This time, I won't give up any family or friends for Griff Fu again. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but tear up. Mom, Dad, big brother, I know I was wrong. My mother came over and hugged me. The daughter she had raised with such toil and hardship had severed ties with the family and even run away from home for a man. As a mother, she had been so worried that she couldn't sleep night after night. It's not that Mom doesn't love you or wants to stop you from being with that Griff Fu, it's just that his family background is unusual, and you're bound to suffer if you marry him. My dad chimed in from the side. Griff Fu is indeed outstanding, but is not a good match. And certainly not someone to spend the rest of your life with. Yeah, little sister, my brother advised me, Mom and Dad would never harm you. Griff Fu may be devoted, but he's too suspicious and not a good man. Those closely involved can't see as clearly as bystanders. Everyone knew Griff Fu was not a good man, but I was the only one who closed my eyes, blocked my ears, and deceived myself year after year. Holding my mother's hand, I made a promise to my family. I will break up with Griff Fu. Should have done it long ago. My father snorted. My mom also said, "As long as you've thought it through." My brother gave me a reassuring look. "We're always here for you." 11. After that, Griff Fu would send me messages every day, hinting that I should move in with him. "I've tidied up the place. Would you like to come see? Everything's good, it's just a bit lonely by myself." Griff Fu's voice sounded lonely. If it were the old me, I would have rushed over to him by now, but I'm not, I said regretfully. I really want to be there with you, but my parents won't let me go out, they've locked me up. Can you check these windows and see if we can climb out? I feigned surprise. No way, I live on the 3rd floor Tilda. You can tear the bedsheet into strips and escape through the window. I lay on my back on the bed, putting on a sweet, coquettish voice. It's so high up, but for Griff, I can do it. But the sheets are so stiff. What should I do if I can't tear them? Griff Foo's plan has been delayed for several days, his voice carrying a hint of urgency. Do you have scissors in your room? Hugging my pillow, I replied. No, I don't, just force your way in if you have to. Your dad wouldn't actually hit you, would he? Griff Foo's voice grew impatient. With a whimper, I said, I ran out yesterday, and my dad whipped my legs until they turned red. I have to go to work, hanging up now. Beep beep, the call ended. I raised an eyebrow. If he couldn't handle this much, I really don't know how Griff Foo managed to keep up the act for 3 years in his past life. It wasn't that he was particularly skilled, it was that I trusted Griff Foo too much. If I had just asked or investigated, even a little, I wouldn't have been deceived for 3 years. 12. Lying in bed playing games. It wasn't long before Ju-Mi's video call popped up. As soon as I answered, her tinkling, giggling laughter came through. What did you do today? Griff Foo threw a huge tantrum in the group chat. I brushed it off. That's nothing. In my previous life, whenever I needed something from Griff Foo, he would always come up with all sorts of excuses, even blaming me for not letting him have peace of mind. I didn't have to go through any of these things at all. Although my family isn't exactly from a prestigious lineage, we have enough money for me to live out the rest of my days. And supporting a Griff Foo wouldn't be a problem at all. But I was foolish and couldn't see through Griff Foo. I just thought that if Griff Foo wanted to make a comeback, then I would stand by him. In the end, I outsmarted myself and brought trouble upon myself. 13. Late at night while scrolling through my social media feed, Griff Foo posted something. Want to give you a home? I asked Ju-Mi if he could see Griff Foo's moments. Ju-Mi sent a shaking head emoji. I'll ask others. 3 minutes later, Ju-Mi replied, no update, so it was only visible to me. Sigh, Griff Foo still hasn't given up his evil intentions. If you said you'd pretend with me, I wouldn't say anything. But the problem is I'm eating instant noodles every meal in the basement. While Griff Foo is feasting on delicacies in the presidential suite, he's just too hypocritical. No one should suffer losses, least of all yourself. Right, I commented on a friend's post, let's cheer each other on. Griff Foo replied to me. I will work hard, ding dong. Griff Foo sent me a voice message. Ivy, I miss you so much. Can we meet tomorrow? Is it about work? Yeah, I'll tell you tomorrow. After saying goodnight to each other, I went to bed early, knowing there would be a tough battle to fight tomorrow. 14. The next day, I deliberately arrived half an hour late. Griff Foo looked very upset and said in a dissatisfied tone, Ivy, my car is scheduled for 2 p.m. I quickly squeezed out 2 tears and said, I'm sorry, Griff. Thinking about you having to stay in that kind of place overnight made me so upset that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get up this morning. I'm just too useless. Griff Foo patted my head and comforted me. Don't worry too much, everything will be fine. I found a job in the city a few days ago, and I have to go on a business trip to Y City this afternoon. I nodded and said with concern, do you have enough money? I heard the weather in Y City is unpredictable. So remember to bring an umbrella when you go out. Before leaving, Griff Foo handed me a key. Ivy, when I get back from my business trip next week, I want to see you at home. Touched, I wiped away my tears. I will, yeah, right. As soon as Griff Foo left, I threw away the key. Ju-Mi called me and asked, has Griff Foo been bothering you these past few days? I said, not too bad, just texting me every day to move into that basement. Ju-Mi let out a surprised sound. That damn Griff Foo. If he wants to act so badly, he should just join a crew and play a beggar. But instead, he's always trying to drag others down with him. What a piece of trash. Whatever you do, don't fall for his tricks. Ju-Mi warned me repeatedly. I replied to her, of course not. 15. The day Griff Foo returned from his business trip was his birthday. I thought to myself, it's time to tell him we're breaking up. The only regret is that I couldn't find someone richer than Griff Fu. Couldn't ruthlessly dump him. Griff Fu sent me a message, and I replied saying I was on the way, but actually, I was at home. When Griff Fu asked me which exit I was at, I said, at the front door. Griff Fu told me to stop joking, and I said, I'm serious. Ivy, what's wrong? Griff Fu's voice sounded a bit anxious. Is your family giving you a hard time? I remained calm inside. Let's break up. Griff Fu was silent for a long time on the other end. I don't agree. I switched the phone to my other hand. I'm just letting you know, is it because my family went bankrupt and I have no money? Griff Fu's voice grew even colder. So you really only loved my money, didn't you? Ivy, you really are just a money-grubbing bitch. You were only with me for the money, and now that I'm broke, you're going to abandon me, is that it? Hearing the word bitch, I knew that Griff Fu was still the same Griff Fu. He hadn't changed at all from beginning to end. But you can't even afford the bride price for me now, I said, looking at my freshly done manicure. Why should I suffer with you? It's not my obligation. Griff Fu hung up the phone and said viciously, you'll regret this. 16. I don't know if I'll regret it, but I know I can't marry Griff Fu again. That wouldn't just be a grave, it would be a living hell. In my previous life, I found out the truth and ran away from the wedding. To capture me, Griff Fu bankrupted my family. And my parents and brother ended up in prison. I was also captured by Griff Fu, locked up, and forced to marry him. Griff Fu treated me well, and later we even had a son and a daughter, but I don't dare trust Griff Fu anymore. I'm afraid this is just another one of his tests. At the age of 43, I finally exhausted myself to death. I'm afraid of Griff Fu's revenge, but I'm even more afraid of marrying him. Just like when he caught me in my previous life, Griff Fu's revenge came swiftly. My family's company began to encounter various problems, one report after another, and the company's profits plummeted. My father and brother were so worried they didn't sleep well for days. Looking into their bloodshot eyes, I wondered whether I should keep holding on. My brother told me, now that you see Griff Fu's true character, you absolutely cannot marry him. Griff Fu has been suppressing my family. My father went to see many upstarts he used to look down upon, and my brother also reached out to many friends he hadn't contacted in years. The first time I saw Griff Fu after our breakup was at a friend's birthday party. His female companion deliberately bumped into me, getting splashed with the red wine in my hand, afraid I wouldn't compensate her. She started shouting loudly in the crowd, "What's wrong with you? This is a limited edition that just arrived, and it's very expensive. You must pay for it." 17. I glanced at the dress. I truly can't afford to pay for the millions worth of high-end custom pieces. The late autumn weather was somewhat chilly. Amid the crowd, everyone was discussing how I couldn't afford to pay the compensation. Griff Fu looked down on me from his high position and mouthed the words, "I told you, you'd regret it." When I was isolated and helpless, a warm suit jacket was draped over my shoulders. It was a man with a scar at the corner of his eye, carrying a faint scent of cigarettes. Holding up his phone, he said with a playful tone, "Really sorry about that. I was taking photos just now and accidentally captured something quite interesting." His female companion's face was deathly pale as she cautiously hid behind Griff Fu. "Fu Ming." Griff Fu's voice was filled with gritted teeth. "When did you get back?" Fu Ming glanced at me before answering Griff Fu's question. "When I heard you broke up." Fu Ming crushed the cup in his hand. His eyes glared fiercely at the man beside me. "I don't know this person, but I know Fu Ming." Griff Fu, the illegitimate son of the Fu family, was raised abroad by his elder brother. 18. Griff Fu looked at me in disbelief, as if we had long been having an affair and betrayed him. "Ivy." Griff Fu pointed at the two of us. "When did you two start hooking up?" I didn't want to say a single word. Fu Ming stood in front of me. "You mustn't speak carelessly. Miss He and I are meeting for the first time today, but I feel as if we've known each other for years. Secondly, Miss He is currently single and has the right to freely pursue love. I don't know what happened after that." As Fu Ming put his arm around me and we walked away, once we were away from the crowd, I tried to break free, but Fu Ming held my hand and said, "Griff Fu is behind us." It wasn't until we got into Fu Ming's car and started driving that he finally let go of my hand. After driving for a while, Fu Ming finally stopped the car. As I was opening the door, he said, "I want Griff Fu's company." I got out of the car but didn't leave immediately. I said, "You're an illegitimate child." Fu Ming shrugged indifferently. "So what? I have the capability." Looking at the features so similar to Griff Fu's, I lowered my eyes. "The Fu family won't give it to you." Fu Ming curled his lips into a smile. There was a noticeable scar on his eyebrow. "So that's why I came to you, isn't it? Griff Fu pretended to be bankrupt to test your sincerity, and after being exposed and breaking up, he suppressed your family's company. Don't you want revenge?" "Of course I do." "What are you going to do about it?" Fu Ming said. "You just need to date me, and I'll handle the rest. There are people in the Fu family who support me, as long as Griff Fu makes a mistake. I can bring him down." "I understand. Are you trying to provoke Griff Fu through me?" Fu Ming said. "Correct. What if Fu Ming doesn't care about me?" Fu Ming said confidently. "Why not try and find out?" 17. After that day, Griff Fu and I made our relationship public, flaunting our love from morning till night. Everyone in the circle maintained an attitude of skepticism but still offered their blessings. Jumi said, "This doesn't seem to align with what you said about finding someone richer than Griff Fu, does it?" I lazily replied, "If I kick Griff Fu to the curb, wouldn't that solve it?" Jumi replied, "You're still the boss." In the first month of announcing our relationship, I got engaged to Fu Ming. With the wedding scheduled for half a month later, Griff Fu also announced his relationship that day, and he got married on the same day as us. Even trying on wedding dresses happened on the same day. While I was betting with Fu Ming about whether Griff Fu would show up, Griff Fu walked in holding his fiancée's hand. Damn it, my $3,000. I bet that Griff Fu wouldn't come. As soon as Griff Fu entered, he saw me in a wedding dress, arm in arm with Fu Ming. His eyes were slightly red. He asked the staff to bring him an identical one. The staff said, "Sir, this wedding dress is the only one available." Griff Fu looked at us and said, "I want this wedding dress. I'll pay 10 times the price." 10 times. How much is that? Fu Ming showed me a number with his fingers. Holy shit, switch. Fu Ming stopped me from making any changes. He said, "My wife said she really likes this wedding dress, and she wants to wear it when she gets married." Griff Fu just kept raising the price. "My wife likes it too." 18. Later, when I went to take off the wedding dress and came out again, they had already finished talking. Fu Ming handed me a card, looking regretful. "Ah, we can only go check out something else." God knows what a huge bargain we got. I ran into Griff Fu again 3 days later at a birthday banquet for an elder. Jumi and I were hiding in a corner whispering when Griff Fu approached under the moonlight. "Miss Ju, I have a few words to say to Miss He. Would you mind stepping aside?" Jumi immediately shouted. "Why should I?" I patted Jumi on the back and told her to wait for me nearby. Jumi looked at me worriedly. "Then hurry up, I'll be right here. If anything happens, just shout, and I'll come over immediately." I nodded. "Go ahead." After Jumi left, Griff Fu came over and drew me into his personal space. "Why?" Griff Fu's voice was a bit hoarse. "Ivy, I know you're not the kind of person who despises the poor and curries favor with the rich." I took a step back and looked at Griff Fu. "What about you? Why did you pretend to be bankrupt to deceive me?" Nowadays, Griff Fu is glamorous and successful. There's no such thing as bankruptcy. Griff Fu fell silent. You're afraid I'm after your money." I finished the rest of Griff Fu's sentence for him. "Griff Fu, in the end, you never really trusted me, did you?" Griff Fu shook his head. "I didn't. If you believe in me, why are you testing me?" "Griff Fu, if you really can't trust me, you don't have to be with me." Under Griff Fu's panicked gaze, I continued, "Griff Fu, if I had moved in with you on the day you moved, would you have lived there with me?" Griff Fu didn't answer. He lowered his head. "You wouldn't, right, because you're not actually bankrupt, and you just wanted to test my love. But Griff Fu, what gives you the right to test my love?" 19. My question went unanswered. Just before leaving, Griff Fu roared in a hoarse voice behind me, "I'll make it up to you. Compensation. I don't need it. All I need is for you to go bankrupt, truly and completely bankrupt." After that, Griff Fu often came looking for me, staking out in front of my house every day. Afraid he might disturb my parents, I moved out of my home. I moved to a place very far from Griff Fu's company. Even so, I could still see Griff Fu's figure waiting by the roadside every day. It was raining outside that day. Griff Fu stood by the car, drenched like a drowned rat, while I stood on the balcony talking to Fu Ming on the phone. The company's profits have plummeted these past few days, and the board is extremely unhappy. It's about time. He has a bidding tomorrow. Find a way to delay him. After hanging up, I watched the figure in the rain for a long time. It reminded me of the time I went to pick up Griff Fu. The rain was heavy that day, and even with an umbrella, I got soaked. I waited at the exit for a long time, until the high-speed rail station closed, and only then did I go home. When I got back, Griff Fu was already fast asleep. The next day, Griff Fu explained to me that the rain had been too heavy that day, and his colleague had given him a ride home. He had drunk too much and forgotten to tell me. I didn't say anything, but I remembered it for a long time because I hadn't smelled any alcohol on Griff Fu that night. I didn't go downstairs until the rain lightened. Why didn't you wait in the car? I asked Griff Fu, who was drenched like a drowned rat. He blinked his rain-soaked eyes and said, "Ivy, I know I was wrong." I sighed, my expression softening a bit. "Come inside." Griff Fu then followed me into the house. I told him to go take a shower first while I went to the kitchen to make ginger soup for him. Perhaps because I didn't seem as angry anymore, Griff Fu asked me while drinking the ginger soup, "How did you find out?" Griff Fu's question was a bit abrupt, but I knew what he was asking. I stirred the coffee in my hand and said, "You weren't exactly hiding it. I just asked around casually and found out." Griff Fu let out an "oh" and didn't say anything else. I told him to finish his drink and get some rest early. The next day, Griff Fu indeed developed a high fever. I sat by his bedside, and in his delirium, he thought we were still together, whining about his headache. I stroked Griff Fu's cheek, looking at his flushed face, and waited until the message "It's done" popped up on my phone before I dialed 120. I didn't laugh until the ambulance had taken Griff Fu away. Goodbye, 20, from Fu Ming. I learned that Griff Fu had been removed from his position as president by the board of directors for missing the bidding, and Fu Ming had taken his place. Griff Fu had no interest in company affairs, and the Fu family's focus gradually shifted toward Fu Ming. Over time, Griff Fu faded from the public eye, and I hadn't seen him for a long time. It was already half a year later when I saw Griff Fu again. My wedding with Fu Ming had been postponed due to his new official duties, and Griff Fu hadn't gotten married either. Looking at Griff Fu, who seemed to have just recovered from a serious illness, it appeared as though he wanted to say something. I walked over and asked, "Are you still not well?" Griff Fu lowered his head, and Fu Ming said to me, "Fu Ming said you and he are together." I crossed my arms and said indifferently, "Does it matter whether we're together or not?" "Not important." Griff Fu. I nodded. "It doesn't matter whether we're together or not." Griff Fu hesitated. "Ivy, I really, truly know I was wrong." I stepped around him, preparing to pass through. Griff Fu grabbed me. His eyes were very red. "If I were truly bankrupt, would you still like me?" I pulled Griff Fu's hand away. "No matter what. You're still a member of the Fu family. You won't go bankrupt." Griff Fu asked me, "Will you marry Fu Ming?" I said, "Probably." "Will you come then?" Griff Fu shook his head and only said, "He is not a good man." 21. I nodded in understanding. "I've heard your advice, and I'll give it serious thought." Griff Fu left. The next second, Fu Ming called. Took down Griff Fu. "Aren't you coming out to celebrate?" "All right." After hanging up, I called Jumi and told her about it. "Fu Ming isn't any good either, let me tell you." Just as Jumi finished speaking, Fu Ming's car pulled up right in front of me. Fu Ming was wearing sunglasses. "Get in the car." Once in the car, Fu Ming pulled out a bouquet of flowers from somewhere. "Here you go." I didn't take it, so Fu Ming stuffed it into my arms. He said, "It's not like I got this specifically for you. The staff just put it in when I picked up the car." I looked at Fu Ming. "Have you settled the company matters?" Fu Ming nodded. "Pretty much." I nodded. Fu Ming pulled me to the seaside. It was just sunset, and the evening glow over the sea was breathtakingly beautiful. A crowd had gathered by the shore, and Fu Ming dragged me over to join the excitement. Someone was proposing. We pushed through the crowd, and Griff Fu and I ended up at the very front, right in the thick of the action. Among the crowd, one person was kneeling with a ring. while the other held a bouquet of flowers. The surroundings were filled with cheers and teasing voices. Marry him, marry him. Suddenly, the girl looked at me, ran over, and handed me the flowers she was holding. Everyone was stunned by this scene. I was shocked too. Fu Ming suddenly knelt down and took a ring out from his pocket. Marry me, Ivy, 22. The man who had just proposed explained, "This gentleman is the one who truly proposed." The crowd quickly caught on and hurriedly offered us their blessings. The focus shifted, and Fu Ming smiled so widely his eyes disappeared, holding the flowers. I counted the time. We had already been together for half a year. I pulled Fu Ming up. "Get up first." Fu Ming refused. "We were supposed to get married 3 months ago. It's my fault for making you wait until now." The crowd urged me to forgive Fu Ming. I neither agreed nor disagreed, but simply pulled Fu Ming up. Someone recognized Fu Ming, and my identity was exposed as well. I had no choice but to leave first. Fu Ming caught up and grabbed me. "Sorry, don't you like this kind?" I looked at Fu Ming, puzzled. "Aren't we fake? We're only together for the collaboration." Fu Ming shook his head. "That was half a year ago. Now I've fallen for you. If you think the past doesn't count, then let me start pursuing you now. Can you give me a chance? Give me a chance to pursue you." Opportunity. I closed my eyes, and my mind was filled with the sound of Griff Fu's advice to me. 23. I stroke Fu Ming's face. Fu Ming squints his eyes in enjoyment and says, "I shouldn't be bad looking." Indeed. Not bad at all. The Fu family has a very distinctive trait. Their features are strikingly similar. Sometimes when I look at Fu Ming, I think it's Griff Fu. "How did I hear that the idea to test me was yours, Griff Fu?" Fu Ming was taken aback. He was somewhat surprised and inadvertently confessed, "Griff Fu actually told you." I withdrew my hand. Even if Griff Fu hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have liked you, let alone married you. "You're also a member of the Fu family, aren't you?" I took out my phone and showed Fu Ming a document. That day, Griff Fu sent it to me after he left. Share transfer agreement. Griff Fu may have left, but he still holds shares in the company, and quite a substantial amount at that. 25%. I tugged at Fu Ming's hand. Happy cooperation. Then he left with style. 24. Actually, besides the stock transfer agreement, there was also a picture. It was the wedding dress that Griff Fu bought at a high price that day. Along with it came a single sentence. "Would you still marry me?" After reading it, I just silently blocked all of Griff Fu Ming's contact information. Nowadays, I can live well and finish the rest of my life without getting married. Man, if he wants to leave, let him leave.